in hospitality, you can have someone who may not be having the best day, and then you have a conversation, a simple conversation with somebody. You address them by their name. You're personable with them. You make them laugh. You charm them. You make them a great cocktail. You're satisfying their taste buds. And that's one of the warmest ways to connect with someone is through food and drink.
Welcome to Heart Inspired, the show dedicated to highlighting individuals in their pursuit of authentic leadership. We peel back the layers to uncover the roadblocks we all face, explore the actions we can take, and how to persevere toward the best version of ourselves. I'm your host, Michelle Delgado. In this series, my guests will share how they pushed through the pandemic and other challenges to turn their vision into a reality. Their stories will inspire you to leave self-doubt behind to focus on your goals. For over a decade, Jayda has worked as a celebrity fashion stylist for many actors, artists, TV networks, and editorial. After many successful years in the industry, she decided to pivot into the hospitality industry, joining other entrepreneurs who wanted to create their dream into a reality. Her vision included a focus on developing and supporting her local community. Jayda is the proud owner of Elevate Lounge, New Jersey, a bar concierge service. Her vision is not only to entertain, but create the best experience and fare her community offers by providing elite private bartending, catering, personal chefs, and entertainment for her clients. Hi, Jayda, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing very well. How are you?
Great. I'm great. I'm so glad that you agreed to be on my podcast of Heart Inspired. When we met at that social networking event and I was on my way out the door, there was just an immediate conversation that flowed great. And I knew I wanted to bring you on here to share your story about how you also became an entrepreneur doing exciting things, and specifically your passion about giving back to your community and really supporting them. So I welcome you today.
Thank you.
Jayda, tell us about your journey about, when you all started in your fashion and stylist business, industry, and then how you pivoted to becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. So I'm originally from Cleveland, and I worked for Ebony Fashion Fair in the wardrobe styling department. So we went on tour, and it was the East Coast tour, and New York was one of the stops. And when I saw how magical the city was at night and the energy, I felt it. I said, you know what? I want to live here. I said, I want to give it a shot. I can always go back to Cleveland with my family, but I said, I'm going to do this. So in 2006, I moved to New York. And, I moved to Jersey first, but by way of New York, because I was really, really close, because I couldn't afford New York at the time. Explore, because I said, I'm a woman coming from the Midwest. It was a shock to me to see how much people were paying in rent. So I said, I can't do that. So I said, let me live somewhere that's more modest, learn the area, build my money up, and then I could, explore. So that was my strategy. But yes, I did work as a fashion stylist assistant. I assisted two prominent celebrity stylists at the time. And then I ventured off into my own, and I started styling my own jobs. And I worked as a stylist for a good while, probably about 8 to 9 years. And I also did other roles in the fashion industry, but I would say the styling was definitely the most exciting.
So this is not your first go around with being an entrepreneur then?
No, I would say it wasn't. When I was styling, I did have assistants. I did manage my invoicing. I did manage my calendar. So essentially I was running, my own business. But to the scale of what I'm doing now is way more, I have operations now. I have, it's way more structured now than I could have even imagined as a stylist. Styling was, it was almost like one dimensional. It was simple. I would market myself. I go out and look for jobs. I get the bookings. make my arrangements with designers and showrooms, pull the clothes, and I do the shoot, hire an assistant, and execute, and voila. So, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And then it got to a point where I said, this is not going to be what I retire doing. Like, I know our generation, we probably won't retire from anything. So not like our parents, but I said, this isn't going to be it for me. So I had to think of what's next. But it was fun. It was fun. It allowed me to learn New York City very fast, because most of the showrooms, all of the showrooms, and most of the designers were in New York City. So I had to learn how to get around quickly. I'm driving my car like it's, there weren't any Ubers back then, no Lyft. So, I'm driving around. I had to learn really, really fast. So that was another good thing about working in that business, is that I learned that. Yeah.
So when did you decide, okay, giving up stylist and pivot to hospitality? When was that starting to brew for you?
Yeah. I mean, for some people that might seem like a total stretch, but to me, it's not, because the connection for me is the social aspect. So when you're styling someone, I have a subject, a model, and I'm responsible for bringing amazing clothes and making them feel beautiful and fantastic and feel like not only their best selves, but maybe a different version of themselves that they never would have seen. And it's just seeing how they light up, and then how the photographer brings that energy out of them. And then the makeup artist, it's like the whole glam squad comes together and brings out this magnificence in the model. Well, in hospitality, at least in the realm that I'm in, with the bartending component, it's almost the same. It's almost like a psychological play on someone, because you can have someone who may not be having the best day, and then you have a conversation, a simple conversation with somebody. You address them by their name. You're personable with them. You make them laugh. You charm them. You make them a great cocktail. You're satisfying their taste buds. And that's one of the warmest ways to connect with someone, is through food and drink. So it's a social component there that can make someone feel like their better selves. So that's how I connect the two. And those are the things that I'm really good at. I love being social. I love seeing people have a good time. And I said, I need to be a part of this, but I need to do it at a level where I can really make a good living off of it. And for me at the time, I said, styling, I've done it. It's great. I still love to go to Fashion Week and attend the shows. I still love clothes. But I said, hospitality, what can I do that is a social career where I can still have fun, responsible fun, and because you don't want to go because you get older, you can't drink too much, because then you forget the next 2 days. It's over. It's a wash. So I'm like, with my clients, when I see my clients just having a great time, or if they're at some of my bookings and they come into the party, they kind of easing in, they kind of chill. But then by the time they leave, they are just vibrant and laughing and want more and more and more. And it's just like, that's it, job done. Like that is the goal. That's the
great.
goal. Yeah.
So what is it that excites you now, being an entrepreneur with all the hats, as opposed to the one-dimensional that you mentioned?
Yeah, it's a lot of hats. And that's the thing, when you are starting your own business and you don't have a lot of finance behind you, so you got to be jack of all trades.
Yes.
You got to be the boss. You got to be the marketing manager. You got to be business development. You have to be the social media manager. You have to do client outreach. You got to be sales, creative. You have to be everything. You got to be the sourcer. You got to go out and source vendors. You're the purchaser. You have to be everything. Oh, and did I mention accountant? Did I mention your attorney? I'm sorry.
Aren't you HR too?
HR? For adding that. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's add on being your own therapist to keep yourself going when you feel like stopping, So it's like you are all these things in the beginning. And the good thing is I was able to juggle it because I really believed in my brand, Elevate. I really believed in it, and I strategized. It wasn't like something I jumped into. I strategized. I wrote it on paper. I had a plan, and I made like a little blueprint for myself to follow certain steps. Did it take a little longer to execute? Yeah, but we're here now. We're here.
Right.
Once I got to the point where I said, okay, now I'm in business. I have clients. I have books now. So we went from writing things in a notebook, which I gotta find that. That might be worth some money one day, and all the notes, right? It might be worth it.
Absolutely.
Maybe able to auction that off. You better keep this footage. I may be able to auction that notebook off in about 10 years for about $500 million. Let's just, I'll give you a percentage. You put that on there. I'll give you a percentage just because you saved the footage. So once I got to the point where it's like, okay, now we're in action, we're operating. I said, okay, I'm only going to grow so far being everything.
Yep.
I got to hire. I got to delegate some of these roles so I can scale the business. So now I'm at that point. So even that alone makes me feel like, look at me go. You know, because I went from writing this down on a notebook to now having staff. So it's really cool just to see the growth. And it's so much more I want to do with this brand that I'm going to do. So it's like we're just climbing
started.
We're just getting started. We're just climbing a ladder. We're gonna keep climbing.
So throughout this all exciting journey, have you claimed a mentor, someone who's really in your corner?
You know what? I have not. And that's the interesting thing. Would I have liked to? Could I still? I believe I could. I think for me, entrepreneurship really is in my blood. I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. My father was one of them. And even though we didn't engage closely for me to like watch them in their operations, I think it's just a natural thing that's inside of me. And I'm pretty good at figuring stuff out. Now, I will say I have comrades, other fellow entrepreneurs, and we talk to each other. And that support has been phenomenal in my beginning because we bounce ideas off each other. And that in itself was my support that I feel I would have gotten from a mentor.
Yeah.
I do think because there's so much more that I want to do with the brand, I think a mentor will come along the way.
Yeah.
I think Rihanna and I will talk, and
wait,
and then
let's get her on the phone right now.
I'm gonna DM her and I'm gonna say, listen, girlfriend, you're a billionaire.
That's where I want to be.
Listen, you are beautiful. You did it seemingly to us effortlessly. You gotta have a strong team behind you. But no, seriously, I do feel like as I grow and with Elevate and really scale it, I believe the mentor will come during that phase. Not necessarily at the beginning, but I think in the middle point.
So tell us more about a day in the life of your business. You do elite bartending and catering. Yeah. Tell us who your ideal client is and how that starts from securing that piece of business to the end of the party.
Yeah, sure. So the one good thing is the clientele that is attracted to Elevate is the clientele that I set out to get. I didn't, and maybe it resonates through the logo or the energy that I put out with the brand, because I didn't have any organized strategy to reach the type of clientele that is attracted to my brand. I get a lot of white collar, doctors, attorneys, accountants, management, CEOs, business owners. I get a lot of high profile businesses that are attracted to my brand at right here, at where we are right now. So how it works is the client reaches out to me as of right now. We're going to change that. We're going to do some more outreach, which I could touch on that after this. But as of right now, how it works is the client reaches out to me, whether they call Elevate or they email Elevate, and they let me know, that they're interested in the services. I vet them out. I let them know that we have additional services besides bartending, because typically they reach out for the bartending component. I let them know everything else that we have. They typically add on services, and then I bill them, they pay, and then I walk them through exactly what to expect. So prior to the service, they know, first of all, I confirm the details, like I get the location, the time, all of that. So make sure there's no confusion. That's another thing. I like no confusion. I like things to be seamless. I like for my client to feel safe. They trust me. They feel comfortable. I'm essentially like a friend in a very professional way.
That's great.
And I let them know who their bartender and or server would be. So they know who's coming to their house. And then even for my staff, I give my staff the same respect. They know who the host is, the number of the host. So when everybody meets, everybody is on one accord. I very rarely, and I mean rarely, I would say 1% out of 100 have experienced confusion. And that was in the way beginning. I was like, oh, tighten that up. So, I will say most of my reviews are my clients saying that it was just an easy experience. I made it easy. I like to think ahead of what their needs might be. I never want to show up and they didn't know that we offer ice service or cooler service. And, and they feel like, dang, who's going to bring ice? And I'm like, well, we could have did it. Well, they already knew that ahead of time. So that's the process. And then, when my staff shows up, they blow them away. They do a great job and everybody's happy. They make fantastic cocktails and everybody leaves happy. My staff is compensated well. I'm very fair when it comes to that as well, because I used to be them, and the client is happy.
And so you mentioned something very interesting. So your private events can also be at the home and as well as public establishments, correct?
Yep.
Office buildings, homes.
Yep.
Commercial buildings, etc.
On boats and everything. Yeah. Wherever it, you look at Elevate as serving social and corporate private events.
Oh, okay.
That's the way to look at it. So social encompasses everything. Like you said, it could be someone's private residence in New York. It could be a rooftop. It could be a park if they have it set up there. It could be at a pool. Wherever they're thinking to have their private event, their social event, Elevate can be a part of that. We've been everywhere.
Oh, that's great. And so what is the main radius of your locations? How far will you go?
Yeah. Well, right now we do all of New Jersey, and New York City and Long Island. So we do the Brooklyn, we'll do Queens, Bronx, but when it comes to New York, we get most of our bookings from Long Island, Manhattan, and Brooklyn.
Okay.
People have started asking me, will we come to Pennsylvania? I said, listen, as long as I know in advance and I can get everything orchestrated, organized for the client, we will provide services there. This is our radius in Connecticut, so pretty much the tri-state area. This is our radius as of now, but the goal is for us to have a national presence, and we'll start that by gradually venturing out, so we can do DC. We're already starting to make connections with Atlanta. We'll flow out to have a national reach.
That's awesome. And so tell me a little bit about what it is specifically for your community that you aspire to do or are doing now today.
Yeah. So I currently live in East Orange, and East Orange is undergoing lots of redevelopment. It's a fantastic city, has lots and lots of potential. And I know the history of East Orange's social life. It used to be one of the main places that people used to come and had like a strong nightlife scene. Well, that's long gone, but I would like to be a part of bringing it back. So I would like to have a physical space for Elevate, and still operate the concierge component because it's just fantastic. But I would like to have a physical brick and mortar location where people can come to, and it would somewhat be like a destination location because now people all over tri-state will be familiar with the brand because it's been, they've hired Elevate. And now if they want to, come into the walls of Elevate, they can. So East Orange is my number one place. Funny because I would say this year I've been getting some interest of people trying to pull me in other directions into other cities. I'm trying hard to stay loyal to East Orange because I live here and I know where it's going. And I know there are so many great professionals that live here, but there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for these beautiful professional men and women to go and hang out and have a nice cocktail, a nice meal. So again, I definitely want to change that and open our doors soon.
Wow. So your staff, tell us a little about how you secured them and where do you know them from? And obviously you have a great amount of trust and respect for them. So tell us about your staff a little bit.
I've gotten my staff from so many different avenues. I've interviewed offline. I would put an ad online. I've gotten staff that way. I've gotten staff for people I used to work with when I used to bartend at the airport. So some of my bartending gigs I would pull. When I was bartending, it really was a strategic move of mine. The goal was not for me to just be a career bartender. I really was learning the business. That was part of the plan. And a part of me learning the business was watching the staff there. And I said, okay, I want this person to work for me and I want this person to work for me. And when I would exit the job, I would take numbers and I would let them know this is what I'm going to do. And you can work for me. And so I have a few that way. And then referrals. So then they love it. So they'll say, oh, I have a friend who's fantastic. You should interview this person. So many different ways.
That's
that
great.
I my staff. Yeah.
So you bartended at an airport?
I bartended at Newark Airport for, I think it was 2 years. That was my transition from fashion into hospitality. I started taking classes, business classes. And my teacher at the time, he said, Jayda, you should work as a bartender so you can learn what bartenders do, what they go through, what they experience, how they maneuver, this and that. So I said, okay. And I made more money bartending than I did, my day job working in fashion. And it was so much fun. At the airport, I've met people traveling. And again, it was the class of clientele that I attract to Elevate. Same level of class that I would meet in the airport.
Yeah.
So the conversations were fantastic. It was just great people. And so I did that for about 2 years.
Wow.
And then I bartended at a very classy Italian restaurant in Summit. I did that for about a year. I did recruit from both of those establishments for some of my staff today.
Is your staff full-time or do they work specific gigs when you
they're gig based. So most of our bookings, are on the weekends. So they're free to have other jobs. They're free to do whatever they want. And that's another reason why they like to stay with me because they have that freedom. They're not on schedule. And then they're booked pretty well in advance where they can clear their schedules and take on a gig once I send it. Yeah.
Speaking of that, how far in advance would someone have to book something with you?
The good thing is that I have enough staff where I could, fulfill a request. But typically, I would say the shortest window we would get is maybe like 2 weeks in advance, up to months in advance. We'll get a booking.
Yeah.
A lot of them, are pretty tight windows. but I'm able to fulfill
That's good.
because I have the staff to
Yeah.
do it. So it works out.
What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned in being a leader with the staff or even before that you keep carrying on as you progress in your business and your career?
That you can always still learn.
Mm.
I am not a leader of my business and coming to the table before my staff as a know-it-all. I listen to them and I let them know that I respect you. And there's a reason why I hired you. You come to the table with something that I'm seeing and some level of expertise or professionalism or experience that I like. I want you to let that shine.
Mm.
Don't dim your light when you're working with me. Let it shine because I can learn from you. And with that, I give them a voice and I give them respect. And with that, they've added a lot of value
Mm.
to my business. I can come to the table and have ideas, you know, either I take their advice or not. But I still, even if I don't take their advice, I still encourage them, you know, that you have a voice with me. So I always can learn.
If you had, or maybe you've had already, a dream client that you could do an event for, who would it be? Other than Rihanna, because we already know you're a fan of hers.
I love her down. My goal right now is to have just the volume, honestly. I want the volume of the type of events we get right now to very large scale events to contract type of bookings.
So that you have repeated guests doing other things with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So say city contracts. You know,
Mm.
every time they have XYZ type of event, Elevate is the vendor to go to. So that's what I'm looking for is the volume. I would say that's more of the dream for me
Yeah.
is the volume. And I think once I get into that, I may be able to circle back to you and say a dream client because I even have personal chefs and I want to build that business where they are doing gigs for, you know, high profile CEOs or just CEOs. You know, we don't want to exclude anyone. Everybody deserves an elevated experience.
Yeah.
Or, you know, celebrities, whatever. You know, if you believe that you deserve this experience and you can afford it, we're here for you.
Yeah.
So I don't want to exclude anyone. There, like again, there's so many amazing, beautiful people that get it when it comes to treating themselves well and socializing and hosting their friends and wanting to give their friends and family or their staff a good time. Elevate is the perfect partnership there.
That's awesome. So when you talked about doing these contracts and you know, I know we wear, as entrepreneurs, we wear a lot of hats. What is your marketing strategy today to reach those goals?
Oh, that's such a good question. So at the beginning of our conversation, when I said I can no longer wear all of these hats, I have hired a marketing manager and a business development manager. They are
Great. How's that working out?
very well. They are onboarded. They are great. They're already adding a lot of value. And now we're pretty much off to the races. So my guys will be taking that on. They'll be doing the outreach. They'll be the brains behind the marketing strategy. So I can focus on other things when it comes to Elevate. So
Yeah.
we'll see the progress on that within the next 6 months.
Okay, so it's brand new that you've hired these folks.
Yes. I hired them in the last, I would say, probably within the last month and a half, both of them.
Okay.
And it's been, like I said, they have excellent ideas. Both of them are very smart, and they're part of the Elevate family. They believe in the brand, and we got a lot of big things planned. So I'm excited about it.
Oh, that's great. For someone who's in food and beverage that way, are there specific industry events that you go to? I know you mentioned the fashion shows and things like that you still like to attend, but as an entrepreneur who's in this space, what are the industry events that you would be attending or focusing on?
Would that be more to network or to have like a presence there, like have some type of setup?
Presence, or to learn more about how you can even excel in your own business? Is it, so for example, like a food and wine event, do you attend to source things and things like that?
Well, I would say when it comes to building, when it comes to sourcing, that type of thing, yes. Why anything that relates to food and beverage. It could be wine tastings, it could be going to brewery events, it could be food tastings. There's so many different types of events that one could attend to be knowledgeable and to gain vendors and suppliers and sourcing that could be very, very valuable. Also, expos. There's a lot of like trade shows and expos that are starting back up that would be great to not only maybe just have a booth or a setup and have a presence, but to get business.
When it comes to the food and things like that, are you focused on one specific type of food, or who is your audience for that?
So when it comes to food, I have a catering director. She's amazing. She's been with me since day one. And again, we are aligned when it comes to providing quality food with quality ingredients. We very much support local vendors, local farmers.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, organic ingredients, fresh. That all just really makes more of an impactful taste when it comes to food. So we work together in that end. And the more I grow, just the more reach I'll have to more farmers and suppliers and minority owned vendors and suppliers is a focus of mine.
Jayda, you mentioned just now minority owned. As a minority owner, businesswoman, have you ever faced any kind of resistance or challenge going out on your own, doing the ask to help support your business or to promote your business? Anything you can share?
It's funny because when I was styling and I had a website, I didn't want to put my picture up. And it's sad. It's almost sad for me to even think about the fact that I had to feel that way because I didn't know if
because you're a beautiful woman.
Thank you. But I didn't know if I would get the type of clientele that I wanted because I am a Black woman. But that's not the case when it comes to Elevate. With Elevate, I am very proud to be the owner of Elevate. So I would never hide who I am for that. What will be for me will be. And I think my faith and my confidence and my trajectory for Elevate is so strong. I would never look at anything as a challenge if it's because of me being a Black woman at all. Because for me, I would say then that wasn't for me. There's no problem. You weren't for me to work with. There's many a client out there that will be attracted, that is and will and continue to be attracted to Elevate. And if that person has a problem with supporting a Black owned business or woman owned business, then I don't want to be associated with them. They don't have enough money for me to jeopardize my integrity or my emotional state for them. So I would say no. If it comes to challenges overall, and I would say this is more just from an entrepreneur perspective that I think all entrepreneurs get is financing, right? So looking for money, getting grants, like I took a couple months and I just pumped them out, applied for grants, didn't get anything. Trying to get financing. Where am I going to get the money from to scale? I want to do this. Where am I going to get the money? So that to me is the challenge. And boy, I cannot wait until I am past that phase where money is no object. And I'm in a position where I'm just giving.
Yeah.
just giving back and pulling other entrepreneurs up and helping them so they don't have to go through the stress of where can I find the money? Because if you don't come from a family or support system that's pouring money into you and your idea, then you're on your own. And that's me. I'm on my own. Could I ask my parents? I could, but I've asked them enough for things. I want to leave them out of this one and let them just, reap the benefits of the growth. So, I would say overall, that would be the challenge. Getting grants, finding money, to back and support, and the right money. I've had people interested in investing, but this really is my brand. And when I talk about my brand to people and I see the reaction is always the same, even when it comes to having partners, I be very careful about that because they almost have to be a silent partner. Like give me your ideas and I'll take them if it makes sense. But the brand is the brand. And it's already out there and it's already presented to the world. So even when it comes to that, I'm very protective over elevating the brand and what's for elevating the future. So like I said, all money wouldn't even be good money when it comes to the brand. And I get that now. Now that I'm up and running, I get that now. If you've seen other people's stories or even like Shark Tank, when they would go and make these offers and say, well, I want this much equity or this much percentage, and this person's like, no, like you no. So I get it. I understand that now.
That's
why
good.
why you can't say yes to every offer that comes your way. You really got to think through it, make sure it makes sense.
You mentioned the grants. Are you getting declines or are you not getting an answer?
Both. I would say more so not getting an answer, or them saying they've received an influx of applications and, basically I'm lost in the sauce. Does that mean I will not apply anymore? No. Especially now that I have my management team hired, that gives me a little bit more time to go after money. I do the client, I solidify the client, make sure they have what they need, and then I go after money for the business. So now I can focus. I can, they take a lot off of what I would have been doing, and now I can focus on that. So we'll see. It seems like a lot of grant money is for established businesses already, or businesses that might, it's hard to find grant money for startups, or at least the amount of money you want. I'll put it that way. A lot of it is more like you've already been established, you may be falling on some hard times, or you may want to grow. Then it seems like it'll probably be easier to find money that way.
Do you think that the opportunity that you mentioned as far as doing something in your own community, would a grant help in, because you're helping rebuild the community?
That definitely could be something that I could consider when I get to that point, because I'm sure there are grants really for everything, but like you said, it's just getting it. You could put a fantastic application through, but that doesn't necessarily mean you could be one of 20,000. Get chosen. Do you have to know somebody? Like what are we playing that game? Like, what are we doing here? So, so like I say, at least for right now, I'll just apply until, I meet people on the board and I could make them a drink or something on a Saturday.
Sounds like a very good strategy.
Have my catering director make some of those fantastic hors d'oeuvres and then say, listen, let's talk here. Let's talk. You want to see more of this, don't you? You want to find my application in that stack of 50,000 applications.
Mine's would be black and gold logo on the top,
Exactly. Like, I won't say anything.
Before we close, Jayda, I'm going to ask you, what is your vision? What's your purpose, and what's next for you?
Is to grow, elevate, to become a national brand. I want Elevate to conquer not only the physical space, maybe we'll grow into multiple locations. But I also wanted to have an e-commerce presence as well.
What would that be about?
So party packages. So basically you could go on the site and we will have packages designed for certain occasions, and it would include certain things that we offer, and it'll be a matter of you buying that package. It gets delivered to you, beautifully presented, and it's a moment. You open it up and you have everything you need in that box. So you don't even have to go out and get anything. You can literally order the Elevate experience without having anybody there but your friends and family, if that's what you so choose. So that is a national reach. That is a goal of mine. And then also to venture into the spirit business. Hello, we make cocktails, so why wouldn't I have my own brand of a spirit or some type of infused or flavored cocktail of my choice?
Wow.
Yes, yeah. So that could be the Elevate brand. So those are my plans for Elevate, and like I said, it's a national reach.
Where can we find you? Where can our listeners find out more about you and to contact you for their next big bash?
Yes, yes. I want each and every one of your listeners to contact me. That's an order. The website is Elevates Lounge NJ, like for New Jersey.com. And our email is info@elevateleloungenj.com. And we're also on Instagram, same. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, we're everywhere, Twitter. But the best way to get in touch is through the website. There's all the contact information there. It'll lead you to the social media platforms, email, phone numbers, and you can get right to me or my guys.
That's great. And we will have that on the details of the podcast as well, so that people know how to reach out to you. Jayda, this has been awesome. I wish you much success. As a fellow entrepreneur, I think you're doing amazing things, especially giving back to your community, speaking your truth and your brand, keeping to that for sure. So I thank you so much for joining us today. All the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that. From our conversation and turning into this, it's great. And I'm sure we'll be in touch real soon.
Absolutely.
Tune in next week. Thank you for listening to Heart Inspired. I'm your host, Michelle Delgado. And don't forget to lean in, be heard, and be inspired. This podcast was created by Heart Metrics Consulting, editing and co-produced by David Castle Productions, and co-distributed by Business Travel 360. For more information about Heart Metrics Consulting, visit us at heartmetrics.com.